Hello, everyone, and welcome to the I Am Love Builder show with your hosts, Casper and Cheryl Stockham. And a great big shout out to all of our broadcast partners. I Am Love Builders is a show that is devoted to all things dealing with relationship and communication. So, whether you are married or single, our goal is to help you to become an MVP, most valuable partner in your marriage, in your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, if you're
You're
not
not having
having fun,
fun,
you're
you're
not
not doing
doing
it
it
right.
right.
No doubt about that. Hey, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Cheryl and I wrote a book called Divorce Proofing Your Marriage. It hit the hot new release list on Amazon. We conduct free training online twice a month through our MVP program, and we have an MVP partner club call that we do as exclusive club call that we do. You can get more information about that by scanning the QR code. We do free workshops for groups of 10 or more. If you're a government agency or a nonprofit or even a corporation and you want to do like a lunch type workshop, we can come in and we'll do it online. Uh, and it takes about an hour for that workshop. And we are doing a casting call for our TV show that's coming up here in August.
That's
And
right.
we're about half casted, but we're looking for 6 energetic couples to join us on that TV show. And if you want to get a free MVP membership, you can go to Zandra TV and download it from any of those platforms there. It's Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, and so forth. If you download it, take a screenshot of it, and get it over to us, we'll enter you into a drawing for a free MVP bronze membership. All right. So we're excited to be able to interview this next couple. Hopefully, Eddie won't moon us, but we were just joking earlier. So we had a chance to meet these guys online. Great couple, and we want to we want to hear more about them. So it's Eddie and Halima Francis. Eddie's a brand strategist, consultant, speaker, and Halima is an accomplished educator. And you can go to eddiefrancis.com to get more information about him. I watched some of your videos, Eddie. The one of it's like a mock graduation talk.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
It was entertaining, so I appreciate that. Anyway,
Thank you.
yeah. So welcome to the show. Please introduce yourselves to our audience, and then we'll get into some questions.
Ladies first.
Oh, thanks. Well, I'm Halima. Eddie and I have we're coming up on 10 years in September.
Nice.
Yes, very excited about that. It does not it's flown by. It's gone by really quickly. So the point about it makes a huge difference. I do work in higher education. I'm the director of the John Lewis Public Administration program at Tulane University. Throughout my career, I've worked primarily in the nonprofit sector and service sectors. I care very deeply about family. I care very deeply about taking good care of yourself.
Mhm.
And I care very deeply about being joyful. That's one of the things that means a great deal to me, especially working in a realm or a space of public service where we give so much. We are dealing with really serious issues. Finding joy in all those things is really, really important to me.
Right.
All right.
And I'm Eddie, of course, and my background has it has a few things in it, but I started my career in radio. Most recently, I've been in communications and marketing and higher education. As a matter of fact, Halima and I actually met when we were working at a college, and and also part of my background is talent acquisition, but. I do have a company called Edify Ventures, which is a brand strategy consultancy, working with organizations on employer branding and other PR and marketing services. And then I also help folks with personal branding. I work on public speaking coaching, do resume design for them, and also help them review things like their social media so that they put forth the kind of image that they are looking to put forth.
Amen.
Yeah, so that is that's what I do.
All right.
Well, Eddie and Halima, it is our pleasure to meet you. And I just have to ask one question right quick though. When is your anniversary in September?
September 26th.
Wow.
We're the 28th.
Oh wow.
Oh, that's cool. Very cool.
And we will be celebrating 22 years of
22 years.
marriage.
Oh man, that's
Wow.
cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Congratulations to you. Yeah.
Yay, for all of us September brides.
Yay.
So this is the I Am Love Builder show, and we always talk about marriage and relationships and so forth. And we love to hear stories about how folks got together and what that looked like. So either one of you, whoever wants to start out, kind of tell us about how you guys met and how did that happen? How did that magic happen?
I'll let you go first. Yes.
So we were working at a college in Texas, actually. I had come from New Orleans. She had come from New York, and there was an event. And it's so funny. I never thought this would quite happen, but I literally saw her across the room and thought to myself, I got to introduce myself to this sister. So I introduced myself. Now the introduction is where it got tricky because Halima came in as a development director for the college, and I was in communications. I had been hearing about this Halima who was coming to campus because I started a couple of months before she did. And I'd been hearing about her coming to campus, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. I guess I'll meet Halima when she gets here. So when I introduced myself to her, I was all suave and stuff. But when I introduced myself and I said, hey, I'm Eddie Francis, she goes, oh, you're Eddie Francis. And the first thing I thought was, wait, did we meet in college or something? I know nothing.
Say, are you the sister I stood up that time?
But yeah, I was trying to figure out what I did this time, and as it turns out, though, she told me that I was supposed to have called her, but the people who kept talking about her didn't tell me that I was supposed to call her.
But call her for what?
Because I was supposed to be working with her on setting up some project that she was working on, and the message had not been delivered to me. So yeah, I was in trouble before. I was in trouble the minute I introduced myself.
I can relate to that. Yeah. I was in trouble early on.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we were definitely impressed by each other initially. Well, that episode notwithstanding, because I was just like, oh, you're the one who doesn't follow up. Okay, great. So but once I got past that, there was another interaction that we had. And I don't know if it was at the same event or something else, but a student came up to us and, they were working on starting a student organization. It was the same event. They were working on starting a student organization, and they were talking about trying to figure out their governance structure. So they were trying to figure out, how do you get people to work well together? How do you get people to do their jobs? And both of us recommended Robert's Rules of Order for the student. And we were like, oh, he reads. Like, this brother knows something about Robert's Rules of Order.
He can read.
Because I'm intellectually driven. Those are the things that impress me and that move me. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. There's something there. I need to just keep an eye. Keep an eye.
Keep an eye out. All right. All right. Well, we're gonna take a quick break. If you're watching live, it's just gonna be maybe like 10 seconds. If you're watching on a podcast later, it might be a minute or so. And we're talking with Eddie and Halima Francis, and we were just getting into the good stuff on how they got together. But having Robert's Rules of Order in common as something that is rare. by the way. Most people have no idea. I do, but most people don't. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back in just a second. All right, so we're gonna Casper Show here with I Am Love Builders, and we are having a great conversation with Eddie and Halima, and we need to have a Robert's Rules of Order class going on. We don't want to bore our audience to tears. But you guys realized that you both read and were educated, so that was a good thing, right?
Yeah.
So then what happened?
So time progressed. Like, we were definitely friends first. We would hang out after work. There was a moment that I very clearly remember. I saw a picture of now our son, my bonus son, his son. And I think you were in the picture with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought to myself, oh, he's somebody's husband. So I don't even need to, because he exuded husband material.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay. All right, that's a good thing.
Yeah, I like that.
Right, exactly. So I was like, okay, well, there's a picture with him and a kid, and he exudes husband material. So logic tells me I need to pull up. Like, I just don't need to even get myself excited about this.
Right.
And as time moved on, I'd learned that was a previous relationship. And I was like, okay, so he is available. All right. So I became more and more interested. Another thing that happened was he was training me, he was coaching me in public speaking. And I am an introvert. I am traditionally pretty shy because my work requires it. I do speak. And I tend to I have to prepare myself for it. But Eddie, the way that he coached me in speaking made me very comfortable with being my authentic self and using my voice.
Yeah.
Whereas other folk, other trainings, other professional development I had done, you need to command the room. You need to have authority.
Yeah.
It's Eddie, and he's like, okay, settle yourself. Before you speak, smile. Just stop and smile.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so he sees me. Like, he's paying attention to what settles me, what calms me down, where my comfort zone is. Yeah. So I kept seeing things, and I kept getting hints. And of course, I talked to my girlfriend counselor.
All right, that's right. I talked to the committee, see what they have to say.
It was a committee decision. So I had to, talk to them on the way to work every day. It's like, girl, this is it. And they were like, everybody was on board. That never happens with the girlfriend counseling. Everybody's never on board, but everybody was on board, and they were of the mindset, if you let this one get away, then we got some questions. Alongside that, I did have a relationship that I was resolving elsewhere. So it was complicated. So, and I'll hand it off to him because he probably has some thoughts on that.
I mean,
you might.
I do, but I mean, it happens.
It happened. Yeah, he won.
It don't matter now. It's 10 years later.
So, I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I said it doesn't matter now. It's 10 years later, and you got the prize.
Yeah, exactly.
So what was going on in your mind? Were you trying to pursue the relationship, or what were you doing? You just trying to be smooth, or what?
No, I got very early signals. I mean, kind of like we were actually on the same page, pretty much almost every step of the way. And I was like, okay, I'd be foolish to not even consider going deeper with this, because I mean, she's really good. And just like, I'm really happy that early on she feels like I saw her, because I did. And I was really happy that she saw me too, because she accepted me with all my stuff. And she put up with the jokes, and I'm not necessarily an outright extrovert, but I am more extroverted than Halima is.
Sure.
And so But yeah, so no, I just knew that it would be foolish of me to just mess around. I knew that. So I decided that I really wanted to be with her, and so here we are.
That's very good. You know, we wrote our first book, and it's Divorce Proofing Your Marriage. But the first 5 chapters of the book, we actually dedicated to those who were single. We feel like a lot of the issues that happens in our marriages is the red flags we ignored when we were single, and we passed them over. And I like what you said, Halima, when you said that he was husband material.
Right.
That's a green flag, not a red flag.
Exactly.
Like, oh, go, sisters, go.
Like, go, keep going. Yes.
And so many times we get involved in relationships and that person is not a husband or wife material. Yet we're insisting on making them be so.
I'm trying to turn them into it.
Yeah.
And
that is truth. That is truth. You know, I'll speak from my experiences and with friends and the conversations that we would have at the age where we were thinking about marriage. It was, oh, well, he's, you know, he makes good money. He's this height. He's this complexion. He's this build. He's got this color. All the things that
superficial.
That are superficial, right? And you in retrospect, you may try to create something that just isn't there.
Right.
It's packaged well, but it's just not there. So you end up lying to yourself. You end up probably making the other person miserable because you're trying to make them into something that they're not. Right. So it's really important to see like who this person really, really, really is. Old people in my community would say, you know, you need to see somebody in all seasons.
Right.
So you need to see them when they're at their best, and you need to see them when they're at their worst, because you know, and anything in between. Because in a marriage, you're going to get all of those things.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. I also like what you said about he allowed you to be your authentic self. And that's one of the keys that we teach our singles is that you don't want anyone who's trying to get you to be someone that you're not, nor do you want to present yourself to someone as someone that's not authentically you.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you will run into a problem down the road.
For sure.
I mean, you do all the superficial stuff up front, but what we try to talk them into is not waiting until you get so deeply involved or you have bonded with this person and now you're attached with this person and now you want to ask all the deep questions. Well, at this point, regardless of what they say, you're tied now, and you will easily ignore all the red flags. So you need, we try to tell them, look, you don't want to scare them on the first date, but you do want to get down. I mean, especially at a mature age, like Casper and I, when we first met, we were in our 40s. So it's like, you know, there's no time to be playing around. We don't have a whole lot of time to be dating and playing around. So I always say, ask the questions that are really going into your mind right up front. I mean, you get past, do you have a job? How were you raised? Ask those kind of questions. What did your mama teach you? What was your home life like? You know, you need to get into that type of stuff. And Casper and I, he said I interrogated him.
Absolutely interrogated me.
I just asked a large series of questions.
So I don't know what the bamboo rods in the fingertips. I don't understand what that was for. She had bamboo.
No, man, I mean, you know, I was about to check on you, Casper, see how you doing, see if you recovered yet. Did you fill out all of the necessary paperwork? I need to understand.
Okay.
But you need to ask those questions up front because it will be the foundation and the strength of your relationship and your marriage for years to come. And like you said, you have to get to see them in all seasons. And I asked Casper questions because I wanted to know what, other than the season he was showing me right now, what else was going on.
Well, and Cheryl, there was a question that Halima asked me, and I've actually run this question by guys who I know, and they were terrified that the question even came up, but it didn't bother me. And the question that Halima asked me when we got serious and we realized we really wanted to be with each other, one day she just kind of stopped and said, "Listen, I need to know if I can struggle with you. Can we struggle together?" And I said, "Yeah, actually we can. We can do that."
Wow.
And I ran this by a friend of mine. He's like, "Oh hell no, what's wrong with you? Why would you do that?" But I understood her question. Her the question was exactly what she just said. I mean, are we going to be good in all seasons? Can we be with each other and be supportive of one another in all seasons?
Absolutely.
Because I know what it's like to have someone to want me to be someone else. And I'm sitting there going, listen, I'm not going to law school. I'm not going to get an MBA. I'm not doing all this stuff.
Right.
I mean, there are things that I want to do to improve myself, but your list is not what I want.
Exactly.
So I got my own list, and I need us to agree on this stuff, So I do know what that's like, and so when Halima asked me that question about struggling together, it clicked immediately for me that okay, we're gonna be all right, because we really do understand that if we're gonna be with each other, we have to be with each other.
Right. Okay,
I apologize. I'm crying a little bit. So.
Oh, that's all right.
She gets happy, weepy a lot.
We're gonna give you 10 seconds to get yourself.
Thank you.
We're gonna take a quick break, and we're gonna be back with Eddie and Halima. We're gonna switch gears a little bit, Eddie, and talk about your company and stuff and what you're doing on that side. So, folks, if you're watching live, it'll just be about 10 seconds or so. If you're watching later, it might be about 30 seconds to a minute, and we'll be right back in just a moment. Okay, Casper Sherrill here with I Am Love Builders, and we are having a great time talking with Eddie and Halima Francis. They were telling us about how they met and got together, and some of the interesting questions they asked each other. And the last one you ended with was, can we struggle together? I think that's a really good question.
That's a very good question, because Casper and I got married in September. I was already in transition work-wise, and we got married in September, and in January, he got laid off.
I had a nice corporate job. She was a stay-at-home bride. At the time, we didn't have any of my children moving in with us. So it was just us. Yep. And got married in September. In January, lost my corporate job.
And so it took him 2 years before he found a decent job, not even where he's at now, just a decent job.
Yeah.
And I ended up working contract just so we can make ends meet. And we didn't have any money. We had no money. And there would be evenings where we would come home and, he was very good. I have to, this is the type of man you women, I always tell sisters, you need to look for. I said, because he didn't pout when I came home. The house was clean. There was no dirty dishes in the sink. And he had some sort of meal prepared so that we could eat whatever we had to make a meal out of. And we would sit on the sofa. We couldn't go anywhere. We didn't have no money to go on a date or do anything. So we were sitting on the sofa and look at each other and laugh and talk and have a great time. It was almost like, there was no fussing, no fighting, no arguing, no being upset. First of all, we just really trusted God. He's going to work it out. We didn't know how, but we struggled that time, and we've been struggling for a long time.
But about 20 years.
But we had some serious financial challenges and struggles that I believe was there to strengthen us and make us strong and prepare us for where God was taking us. But we decided early on that was not going to tear us apart.
Mhm.
Right.
And so we were in a struggle. We weren't going to fuss, fight, yell, none of that. We
Mhm.
were going to learn together how to make it through. And that's what we would do. We would talk to each other and say, okay, so what do you think we should do about that? And we, brainstorm together and come up with a decision. If it worked, it worked. If it didn't, we came back to the drawing board and start over again. But
Mhm.
it's amazing that a lot of people don't do that. And that's why I am really passionate about the early stages of one's marriage when you're
Yeah.
single, because
Yeah.
that foundation is strong.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
has to be to make it through the marriage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's switch gears now, Eddie. Let's talk about your company and stuff. But what are you? We mentioned brand strategist, consultant, speaker, and so forth. So what does that entail? What is EddieFrancis.com?
Who is Eddie Francis?
Nobody. I think the top of the list as far as who I am. I appreciate that question actually, because if I'm going to do personal branding, it might help.
For the answer.
But one of the things, and this is one of the things that I talk to folks about, even when I help folks with their resume, and even in public speaking, is being very attached to who you are. And for me, I really get a kick out of being resilient, bouncing back. I've had to bounce back from so many things.
Yeah.
So resilient is a big part of my identity. Humor is a big part of my identity, but then also being intellectual, flexible, and adaptable to whatever situation comes along. Those are big parts of my identity.
Yeah.
And having been raised by two great people, my parents were both high school teachers, and there's education is in my family. Even back to my great grandfather, a guy by the name of Medard Hilaire Nelson, who had a conversation with the Sisters of the Blessed Sacrament and the Archdiocese of New Orleans about founding Xavier University.
Oh,
Wow.
So education runs very deeply in my family, and there's a school named after Papa Medard, and so that really makes up a lot of who I am. And so with that being said, Halima told the story about when I was coaching her in public speaking. I allowed her to be herself. A big part of branding and brand strategy is finding out who the person is, who the person really is, and working from there. A lot of people look at branding and they start to ask the question, okay, what kind of image can I put out there for everybody? The right question is, who am I and who do I attract? And who is my real audience? Who's going to really support me in what I do?
Yeah.
And the same thing goes with companies. I had the pleasure of doing a major brand refresh project when I was the director of marketing and communications at Dillard University. And the campaign was called Write Your Legacy. And it was a great effort because we really dug deeply into the personality of the university and figuring out what kind of value the university delivered from there. So that's a big part of what my company does. A big part of what I do with organizations is I take a look at who the organization is and work with them. I actually have a healthcare client that I'm working with right now, and I'm writing copy for their website. And that work really started with my looking at their mission, understanding what their brand personality is, what it is that they really stand for. And that's how I decide what kinds of language to use when I'm writing for them. And then the same thing again, when I work with people individually on personal branding and putting their resumes together. And so that's what brand strategy is all about for me. It's about working from the inside out, so that organizations and people can show what kind of value they provide to the communities that they serve.
Yeah. You talk about being authentic. I've had the privilege of meeting a lot of motivational type speakers over the years, like Jim Rohn and Brian Tracy and some of these guys. And most of them that I met were actually pretty authentic. They were the same way they were on stage. They were that in person, especially like Jim Rohn. I mean, he was the exact same way he was on stage, very just warm and inviting and stuff. You know, he would talk to you, not at you, and so.
Mm-hmm.
But there were some others, and I don't want to
Name drop.
name drop and stuff. But there were some others that
we want to do that. We want you to keep I Am Love Builder show. You know?
Yeah.
they were just the exact opposite of how they were on stage. They were rude and just short and just nasty. And I'm like, how in the world is this person a motivational speaker for anybody? I guess people just don't know them, right? And if they don't know them, then that's what's happening. Hey, we're gonna have to take
go ahead.
Hold on. We're gonna take a quick break. We're here with Eddie and Halima, and now we're talking about Eddie's company and his business. And this is our last segment, so we need to kind of, if there's anything important for you to share, we need to share this. We got 10 minutes left. So,
we'll share, yes.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna take another quick break for about 10 seconds, and we'll be right back in just a moment. All right. 10 seconds goes by quick.
It does.
All right. Cash Michelle here with I Am Love Builders, and we are having a great conversation with Eddie and Halima Francis. So yeah, the being authentic is very important, you know, from my perspective. And I try to be as the same as I am on camera, if you will. I try to be that way in person because I don't want to be, you know, I'm not trying to pretend to be somebody that I'm not.
Right. Everybody else is taken, man. So you can only be yourself.
There you go.
Yeah. You know, and what you just brought up about some of the speakers you run into, it also speaks to being an authentic leader. You know, one of my passions is leadership. Yeah. And I love to, you know, talk about leadership studies and things that I've learned and looking at it. And one of the things that people are looking for these days, and this is what research is telling us in leadership, is that people are looking for authentic leadership. And what that means is that they're looking for a sense of vulnerability. They're looking for people who are going to be exactly who they are when they're standing up in front of a group of people, and they're gonna want them to be that same person when they are in private in the office. And even when you're in private with somebody, you know, people are human, you know, they're gonna have their moments, you know that they're gonna make mistakes. But the thing is that I think what people are looking for in that authenticity is they're looking for folks to say, you know what, I did make a mistake and I'm going to make mistakes, but you know what, we're all going to get through this together as a team, as a company, as an organization, as a community.
Yeah,
that's right.
Absolutely.
So Halima, tell us, what is your day like?
Oh goodness. So my day is educating and educating, I say really broadly, is teaching, supporting, inspiring, opening doors, learning from my students. So the spaces that I work in are related to policy, government leadership, nonprofit organizations, economic development, in those areas. So my program offers a Master of Public Administration and various certificates for people who want to lead in those areas. And it's an online program. Eddie's work really resonates with me because I hear from my students that, you know, they love learning in our program and learning with my faculty because they can tell that they care. They can tell that they believe in what we do.
Right.
So if you're doing any of these kinds of, you know, jobs and professions, there's always room to bring in yourself and really showing the value of who you are in the space that you work in. I work with people who are career changers, who are young in their careers, pretty much the whole gamut, and preparing them for community leadership positions, regardless of whether it's being an elected official or running a nonprofit organization. I'm working to make sure that they can effectively do that work.
Very good. Awesome.
And one of the things, I would be remiss if I didn't say this because Halima's humble, is that she is a very influential person at Tulane. She is vice chair of the University Senate. And we're not sure, but we think that if she's not one of the first African Americans to be in that position, she may be.
Amen.
So she's a trailblazer.
Very good, very good. Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. So we have maybe like 4.5 minutes left, maybe a little bit less. Is there anything you want to leave our audience with, Eddie, from your perspective, for as far as business goes? Like what kind of clients are you looking for, or what's your ideal client?
I mean, my ideal client, I come from higher education. So one of my ideal clients would be small colleges, universities. I've worked at 3 HBCUs. I got my master's from an HBCU. And so I would love to work with any of our HBCUs, but if not any HBCUs, then small colleges and universities, or small nonprofits, or people with small businesses who are looking to build their staff and they want to go out and find the right kinds of people. I want to be able to help them identify the kind of talent that's going to help them be the best kind of business. And that's a practice called employer branding, something that I specialize in. And my closing thought on that would be just what I said before. Make sure you tell your brand story from the inside out. Don't go out trying to find somebody who you think you can make happy. You have to be happy with the work that you're doing.
Yeah,
that's right.
So be happy with your work, and let that light shine out to people, and then you'll attract the kinds of clientele, the kinds of students, the kinds of people that you're looking for.
Yeah, I've dealt with companies that were growing, and in the beginning, you're just kind of hiring anybody that wants to slow down long enough to come into the office, but eventually you're like, okay, we need to find some talent.
Right? You got to find the right people.
You got to find the right people, but then they don't even know how to identify the right people. And I think that's what you're talking about with your program. We have this love assessment, and it helps you identify your love persona, and it helps kind of some of the things your spouse just naturally does or doesn't do. They're just if they're a leader, if they are a giver, or all those kind of things. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
What would your parting words be?
Oh goodness. So my parting words, just in the realm of professionally, if you're somebody who wants to improve your community in any way, consider the benefits of pursuing a Master of Public Administration degree, or getting a related certificate. It does not have to be with my program, any program, but consider investing in building your skill set in that area. We need community leaders, and we need people to make an investment in making sure that they understand how things work. So how does policy work? How does budgeting work? I'd be remiss if I didn't say go vote.
Right.
At every opportunity you get, you need to be showing up.
Absolutely.
So, and when you do so, be an educated voter. So make sure you're aware of the topics that you're making decisions on. Because if we are going to live up to the ideals that our country espouses and was built on, and the things for ourselves, we can't just leave it to legislature. We can't just leave it to DC. We can't just leave it to people who are in our governor seats and such. So we have to show up.
All right.
So
I love it.
Very good. Very good. Hey guys, don't disconnect after we go off the air. I wanted to share some stuff with you. All right. So we've been have a great interview with Eddie and Halima. You're listening to I Am Love Builder Show, Casper and Cheryl. Hey, we want you to get our free ebook. You can go to our website right now and download the free ebook. It's the first 5 chapters of our book. And like Cheryl mentioned earlier, it's really geared towards singles, right? So it's a good, even though it's divorce proofing your marriage, it's a good book for singles. You can take a free love assessment on our website, a 5-minute or a 20-minute love assessment on our website. We want you to become MVPs. That's why we have our shirts, right? Most valuable partner. When you are working on yourself and your spouse is working on their self together, now you have something extremely powerful. And remember, at the end of the day, if you're not having fun,
you're not doing it right.
All right, we'll see you guys on the next show.